You're watching UnrealEntGaming. This is Gohan from Dragon Ball Z. You want to see me turn Super Saiyan? Or should I take it to the next level? I'm also the narrator, too. Next time on Dragon Ball Z, make sure and smash subscribe to UnrealEntGaming.
The ultimate battle involving Goku, Vegeta, and Moro is about to reach its climax within the Dragon Ball Super manga, and for many months now, this overall anticipated battle had been brewing up with both Vegeta and Goku having to go their separate ways in training individually, as was Moro in consuming multiple planets and getting stronger after finding out that Goku and Vegeta have gone off to train. But is the ending of this arc going to be as predictable as many people assume it might be, or is Toyotaro going to throw in a monkey wrench to swerve the fans by the end of this arc? As a quick reminder, if you guys are new to this channel and have a love and passion for all things Dragon Ball and anime related, then I do encourage you guys to punch that subscribe button and turn on all notifications by clicking on the bell icon. That way you guys can stay up to date whenever a brand new video is posted onto this channel. And if of course you guys are stoked, ready, and excited to see the climax and conclusion of the Moro arc, then be sure to give this video a big thumbs up by slapping that like button down below, because this is without question going to be one of the greatest battles to ever take place within Dragon Ball, only because the Galactic Patrol Prisoner arc thus far had been very unpredictable, and when looking at what could end up being the finale of this arc, essentially anything could happen when looking at the overall master narrative. As joining me here today to further discuss the concept of the ending of the Moro arc is my good friend and Dragon Ball YouTuber Emosh. Now Emosh, we talked about this off camera. We actually had a very lengthy debate about this because there seems to be something that I believe we're overlooking here in the fact that I don't think that the finale of this arc is going to be as predictable as a lot of us assume it to be. So what I wanted to ask you is, do you believe, in your opinion, that the concept idea behind what Vegeta can do is going to be mainly inserted as a support role to Goku, being the fact that I think Ultra Instinct is a power that is far superior than anything Vegeta has right now, unless Vegeta taps into Ultra Instinct himself. There's lots of scans, there is a lot of irrefutable evidence to back this claim up in the fact that Ultra Instinct is a power that essentially comes from the gods. It transcends that of the gods. So if Goku to some capacity isn't able to fully control this, or if he manages to burn out, do you see a situation present itself to where Vegeta could ultimately support Goku in the fact that without Vegeta being there, Goku is dead? And that only comes from the fact that if Ultra Instinct were to burn out, then there's really not much Goku can do, in the fact that we've seen how Super Saiyan Blue was proven to be ineffective against Moro. So in this particular instinct, do you see it to where Vegeta is going to be the sole person to get rid of Moro? Do you see this being somewhat of a collective effort to where it's going to be both Goku and Vegeta that end up beating Moro? Or do you think in some way, shape, or form there's going to be perhaps maybe a third party inserted that's really going to catch all of us off guard?
So first thing, I think it's important to kind of look back at basically any major opposition that Goku has gone up against, and including Vegeta and the Z Fighters for the most part. You think back to, you know, outside of Frieza, but you think back to basically anything after that. I mean, even Vegeta for the most part, right? They needed teamwork to defeat him, but basically anything after Frieza, you know, it wasn't always just one person fighting that set person. You know, there was always some kind of collective effort, you know, for the androids, for Cell, especially for Majin Buu, for Kid Buu, right? And I think, you know, I guess the kind of basis or direction that this conversation is going, it's going in the direction where we kind of get like another, you know, Vegeta recognizing that Goku is the best kind of a movement thing, right? Except to where, you know, in the fight against Kid Buu, it was his idea, you know, to get the Spirit Bomb going, right? It was his idea to kind of call on everybody on Earth to wish everybody back, so on and so forth. Like, he pretty much orchestrated everything, but he wasn't physically involved. He was just the mastermind, but he wasn't physically involved. Hell, I mean, even Mr. Satan played a major part in that, right? So, you know, looking at this, going into Dragon Ball Super, Goku Black merged Zamasu. It was a team effort. They didn't defeat them themselves. Ultimately, the Omnikin came in and pretty much sealed the deal. But for the most part, there was always some kind of a collective effort when it came to going up against an imminent threat to existence itself. So in this case, you have Moro. So I guess I could see Vegeta definitely doing that, only because he's a little more practical and realistic sometimes. I think and that's just me being under the assumption that he's going into this fight as Kid Buu Vegeta. And what I mean by that is the Vegeta that we saw in that arc, where he realized that Goku was just the guy to do it, and all he could do is just support him, and then they were like friends or buddies or rivals or whatever, right? Same thing against Broly in the Dragon Ball Super Broly movie 2, for example. He agreed to fuse, so on and so forth. And then same thing against Buhan when we got Vegito. There's a lot of instances where Vegeta is just a lot more practical when it comes to him going into a fight. Now, I think the way the manga's swerving us, if anything, is that it's setting up the stage to where we obviously think it's going to be Moro versus Vegeta, and I can totally understand why. And I still think that is the case. I think people are really expecting that, and I don't think Toyotaro is, scripting this stuff with fans in mind. I think he's just trying to write a good story, right? So it doesn't really matter if people end up not liking the outcome of what Vegeta's, involvement in this is. Ultimately, what it comes down to is, can you go back to that chapter or to this arc and read it and get some kind of enjoyment factor out of it, right? I think that's the goal. I mean, it would be my goal, if anything. So to answer your question, I think it's realistic for sure. I would like it, honestly, and it's not because I don't want Vegeta to get the W, right? Boss man, it's that dub boss man meme. It's not that I don't want him to get the W. I think I've been calling for teamwork to be the way to defeat Moro. And if you consider, everything that Goku's capable of, and this is again under the assumption that Goku hasn't learned something to counter Moro's magic abilities off screen, because that's also something that happens a lot in Dragon Ball, where these guys learn stuff off screen, or off panel, right? So under that assumption, if UI itself is enough to defeat Moro, but Goku just can't keep up because he wears off or something like that, let's just go with your idea. Vegeta comes in, he has all these techniques, he has all these abilities, and this is where it comes down to the fandom being very perceptive about not just Moro, but his henchmen. Primarily 7-3, for example. 7-3 could basically grab your neck, and he can utilize your abilities for X amount of time. So if that healing stuff comes into play, if instant teleportation comes into play, all these other things that Vegeta is theoretically learning through Pi Power comes into play, and if that's a factor into defeating Moro, or to at least countering Moro to some extent, you only have to imagine that, there's a reason why 7-3 is being kept in Moro's back pocket, because that would be the way to counter Vegeta, counter what Vegeta's doing to Moro by getting access to those abilities as well. And there's also the fact that 7-3 still has access to Moro's abilities as well. I think they're stored away, right? And he actually said that, he actually told them, he was like, there's going to be a time where I'm going to require his power. So there's a lot of stuff. It really comes down to teamwork, and not just on Goku and Vegeta's end, but if anything, it comes down to teamwork when it comes down to Moro and 7-3. Although his sense of teamwork is obviously different. His sense of teamwork comes more so from convenience and what can you do for me? What can 7-3 do for him up until he's no longer valuable? And then it just comes down to Goku and Vegeta facing off against Moro. I'm calling for teamwork. I think it would be a lot more exciting if that were the case. I totally understand that the fandom wants Vegeta to just come in and take that dub, right? And if you look at the previous chapters and the panels where Moro's talking about, he senses Vegeta. It's not like he doesn't know about Vegeta. He senses Vegeta. He knows that he's truly become powerful, and that was only at that time. So at the time of that chapter, Vegeta's still training with this guy, and then Goku comes to Earth, and then he meets Moro, and then Moro's just like, okay, that's the guy who was, who was trying to locate me back on Namek, so on and so forth. Okay, cool, let's fight. But Moro right now, just, although he kind of seems shocked about UI, he doesn't really seem too concerned, considering, although Goku has gotten exponentially stronger, Moro just doesn't seem too worried about that. And even after giving his energy to Saganbo multiple times in Chapter 58, it's like Moro was just casually blocking Goku, no problem. Moro, like, this dude Goku was not putting a dent in him. That we got no indication to showcase that, hey, Super Saiyan won't work. And Goku tends to do that. He'll go from Super Saiyan 2, then like God, and then Blue, MSSB, so on and so forth. In this case, Moro's in complete charge right now, and I think based on like what you're talking about so far, I think it's really possible that Vegeta comes in as a support character, but it's enough to really get people involved to say, wow, Vegeta wasn't just taking the backseat like he did against Kid Buu. You know, even though he got his ass whipped a couple times, but the point was he wasn't just a punching bag. He's playing a pivotal role in this fight, and I think that's going to be pretty cool to see.
And see, that's going to be really tricky because you don't really want to downgrade or undermine Ultra Instinct, but at the same time, based on the fact that Vegeta is taking his time to perfect and learn of new abilities and techniques to take Moro down, you can't really overlook that either. So it's a really interesting position to be in, but I firmly believe that by having them both work together and by having Vegeta be the one to give Goku that boost to either finish the job or keep up the momentum long enough for Vegeta to actually come up with a plan to put Moro away would be the best possible course of action to take. But at the same time, we can't really overlook any of the other Z fighters that are currently on the battlefield, because for all we know, Moro could end up zapping their energy, or we could see them further assist Goku and Vegeta, which I think would be a really good thing and a really pragmatic thing to do, because can you imagine seeing 17 and Gohan and Piccolo, even though they are inferior to Moro when it comes to power and possibly even strategy, we could still see the likes of 17 protect Goku with his barrier, see Gohan and Piccolo try to utilize a collective effort to catch Moro off guard. We have Vegeta just blasting Moro away with all of his techniques and skills that he learned on Yardrat. So it's a really complex situation to be in. But what about other characters like perhaps 7-3? Do you see him being saved for something special, or Majin Buu and the Daikaio? Because this is a very interesting situation to be in, especially when you don't really know what the outcome is going to be. And I really hope that I speak on behalf of everyone when I say that they don't rush the ending, because we all want to see a really good fight. We all want to see something big come out of this. So in your opinion, what's your take on 7-3? Is he going to perhaps aid Moro if he's in trouble? What's your take on the overall execution of Vegeta and Goku working together, and just for them to utilize their skill set in having to take Moro down together?
I think 7-3's involvement is limited, right? I think it's pivotal for Moro, right? But I think it's limited in the sense where, again, because he has Moro's abilities, and I think Moro thought of that idea in case the concept of stealing his magic was a possibility again. And although Moro has acknowledged that the Daikaio no longer possesses that ability, he's still keeping 7-3 in his back pocket. You know what I mean? So you have to consider that. I mean, this dude Moro is sensing what Vegeta can do from far away. He's sensing his chi grow stronger, you know? I'd imagine that he would be able to sense the idea that Vegeta is not only getting stronger, but his chi, something about his chi is changing. Like he's getting more control, so over it or something like that. I'd imagine that would be the case. I mean, this is a guy who basically, he's on a 24/7 radar for the universe that he resides in, right? And he scours the universe for for chi signatures to get stronger. So the chapter actually showcases that, a few chapters ago showcases that Moro was more so prepping for Vegeta, not so much for Goku, and that's mainly because Goku was in a different dimension at the time, training, so on and so forth. But the point is that Moro immediately acknowledges Vegeta's current level of power, and he's still training to this day. So when it comes to 7-3, again, the fandom's really perceptive when it comes to 7-3. And it's obvious, he's keeping it in his back pocket for a reason, but I just don't think his role will be that big. I think you kind of have to focus on this being a 2-on-1 in the sense where, okay, 7-3 comes in, he saves Moro because he has access to his abilities. Maybe they find a way to steal Moro's abilities, but then Moro can take his abilities back from 7-3 and just dispose of him, right? Or maybe Moro has a way to basically extract the abilities from 7-3 specifically. Maybe that's why he's keeping them in the back pocket. So in addition to having Moro's abilities stored into 7-3 in case Moro loses them, right? He can take the abilities from Vegeta, take that stuff too. I'm not going to talk about Goku. I don't see Ultra Instinct, and Moro happening. But again, I think it's plausible that 7-3 will play a definitive role into helping Moro defeat Goku and Vegeta. I think as is, he can do well. I think as is, he'll be fine. But I think once Vegeta shows up, that's when things are going to get really interesting. I think Moro's going to, be kind of confident at first, but then Vegeta's just going to come through and just, showcase some abilities and so on and so forth, and then he's just going to be like, oh my god, whoa, this guy's kind of a threat. Boom, so he just busts out the 7-3 card, and then it takes a turn for the worst, and now it's a matter of, like you talked about, maybe Vegeta healing Goku because he realizes that Ultra Instinct probably is the only way to defeat him, right? He gets a Zenkai boost, but then maybe he goes into MUI and just seals the deal. I don't know. That would ultimately come down to Goku being the guy to defeat Moro, but Vegeta at least had involvement in that sense. So I like the ideas that you proposed, because it talks more so about teamwork. I think Vegeta is a little more practical when it comes to that stuff, so I could also see that happening.
See, that's a very interesting concept in the idea if Moro somehow has his powers removed, he still has 7-3, and he could still take that from 7-3. So I don't want to discredit 7-3 either, because at some point I do believe Moro is going to want to use him. Now, this could come as a circumstance to where 7-3 could actually be the one to drain the Earth's energy while Moro's too busy fighting off Goku and Vegeta, and thus putting all of his trust in 7-3 to collect all of this energy for Moro to consume. But at the same time, I do believe that something from Vegeta is really going to change the entire landscape of this battle, because with Vegeta having to know the fact that Pibrara knows of a healing technique, which again does stand as a high-level ranking kind of technique that Pibrara knows, is it possible for Vegeta to actually learn these abilities and help out his team while still maintaining himself in this battle against Moro? And do you believe that if Vegeta were to learn of this ability, it would come in handy in a situation to where if UI Goku goes down, Vegeta could ultimately be there to heal him and bringing him back into the fight?
Yeah, so you know what's interesting about something you mentioned regarding the panel specifically, how the healing technique is something that's more so advanced, right? And that Vegeta just simply isn't ready for that yet. And, I know the fandom, other tubers as well, we've discussed it amongst ourselves as well, this idea of Vegeta learning a technique to seal Moro's magic ability or something like that. You kind of have to think about you have to ask yourself at that point, if healing to the extent of Pibrara's abilities is something that's advanced, surely sealing someone's anything has to be a lot more advanced than healing, right? So it's like, what exactly is Vegeta learning to do at that point? I still think it would be cool if he learned how to heal, because I never really expected that from him, right? It's kind of like with Trunks in the MERUS Zamasu fight. He heals Goku, so on and so forth, right? And then he masters Super Saiyan Blue, and then he's just on par with MERUS Zamasu at that point. So it's kind of like that same treatment, but with more involvement. I don't know. I can't really answer that though to say what I think is needed, man. I just think it's some form of teamwork, honestly. You gotta let both characters flex. Goku, he's been known for getting stronger through other people. He's had multiple masters, right? He has a plethora of abilities when it comes to like his arsenal. And this is like the first time we've ever seen Vegeta succumb to going under someone's wing who he's weaker than, right? He's obviously stronger than Pibrara, but I'm sure Pibrara could even give him work, if anything, just based on abilities, because it seems like all of a sudden now Dragon Ball Super is going in the direction, coming out of the Broly arc, especially in terms of power, it's going in the direction where they're kind of focusing on abilities now, not just power, right? Because Vegeta acknowledged that it was always going to be brute strength that was, that would seal the victory for them to defeat Moro, but we learned pretty quickly after that it wasn't the case. So I just think we need to see teamwork. I think 7-3 is going to be a major factor here. I agree with you. I would like to see that. And it's not because I don't want Vegeta to take the W. I just think that for me personally, when it comes to the reading material, I don't care who wins. I personally don't. I don't care if Vegeta takes the W. I don't care if Goku takes the W, as long as they help each other, because that's always been how they defeated people. It's never really been one-on-one, outside of Jiren, right? But he's not really, I don't consider him a villain, especially in the manga. He's not more so a villain. He's just an opposition. It's a tournament setting. It's completely different. But as far as like everything else though, Vegeta was always there. He helped Gohan, seal a deal with the Kamehameha Wave against Cell. He helped Goku with the Spirit Bomb. It was his idea. He helped that. He helped stall for Kid Buu. Didn't do much against Beerus, but again, he was there to fight Zamasu and Goku Black and Company with Goku. They fused into Vegito. We got a lot of quality stuff out of Vegeta. And then coming into this arc, I think Vegeta is going to have a lot of involvement again. I think, for the most part, Dragon Ball Super tends to be pretty original and straightforward and linear when it comes to scaling in terms of power and abilities, so on and so forth. And I think us as a fandom, we can get pretty creative because we're thirsty for creativity when it comes to Dragon Ball, especially when you consider the concepts that are showcased in Dragon Ball Heroes, for example. A lot of the things that we've gotten over the course of history have debuted there. So I guess my point is, what I'm trying to say is that I understand that we're thirsty for creativity when it comes to this arc specifically, because it's difficult to gauge how you fight Moro. How do you deal with someone like that? And to this day, I mean, it's been a long time that we've been talking about this. How can you beat this guy? How are they going to stop his, his ki drain, his Genki draining? How are they going to stop everything else? He's not even at full power yet. There's still so much he can do. What is Vegeta doing? For Goku, it's pretty straightforward. Ultra Instinct. Okay, done. Right? But for Moro and for Vegeta, it's just like, okay, I'm 100% certain there's a lot more we haven't seen yet. But then again, Tortaro can just swerve us and just say, yeah, man, it's pretty simple. Here you go. Vegeta wins. I'll see you later, right? They could just do something like that. So I'm okay with what you proposed. I'm also okay with the Vegeta taking it, only because he's earned it at this point. And what I mean by earned is that he's actually doing something that we've never thought he would do. And he's actually training better than Goku, if anything. The reason why Goku's still ahead is because he's done all this before. He hasn't done it to the same extent as Vegeta, right? He doesn't have the same ki control and all this other stuff to the same extent as Vegeta does now. But everything Vegeta should have done years ago, Goku's been there, done that. And that's why Goku's at where, that's where he is today. So Vegeta's just now realizing, if anything, that, hey, I kind of have to, get with the program if I want to surpass Kakarot. Not in terms of gaining Ultra Instinct, but if I want to surpass that level of power my own way, this is how I'm going to do it. So we'll see what happens.
I think this is very exciting, and I think that so many people within the fandom are also so excited to see this go down, because this had been building up for such a long time that I really hope they don't drop the ball on this fight, because I think that Moro is going to really prove himself in this battle against the Saiyans. But I think the ultimate trump card that our heroes have is going to be Vegeta, but at the same time, never rule out UI Goku as well. So in the end, guys, we want to know your thoughts in the comment section below about the overall situation involving Goku versus Moro, Vegeta versus Moro, a possible Majin Buu and Daikaio versus Moro, along with your thoughts as to what is about to go down involving 7-3. Is Moro going to betray 7-3? Is he going to use 7-3 to get the better of Goku and Vegeta? We want to get your thoughts in the comment section below. Again, thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all so much for listening. If, of course, you guys are new to this channel, then don't forget to go on ahead and smash that subscribe button and turn on all notifications to never miss a single video. Hit that like button down below if you guys are simply stoked, ready, and excited to see this fight go down. Tune back in for the next video. I will also link Emosh's channel and his content down in the description box as well, guys. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll be seeing you all in the next video. Take it easy, guys. Peace. And the quick little reminder before you guys go, if you guys are unaware, I do have a second gaming channel located down in the description box below, so be sure to head on over to Unreal Royale and hit that subscribe button along with turning on all notifications, as to there, you guys will find all different kinds of gaming content that you will not get to find on UnrealEntGaming, titles and video games such as Grand Theft Auto, Call of Duty, Gears of War, Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle, Dragon Ball Z Legends, Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi 3, Minecraft, Blair Witch, and many other retro games on that channel. So if you guys are into gaming, then make sure you guys subscribe over on Unreal Royale. I want to thank you all so much for your time, and I'll catch you all in the next one.
This is the Galactic Emperor of the Universe, and of course I'm here to tell you to subscribe to UnrealEntGaming.
Also follow UnrealEntGaming on these social media platforms to stay connected at all times. And if you don't, then very soon you will all be dead! Oh, did someone say UnrealEntGaming? Oh my god.
The fuck's up, on? Put on some clothes!
Well, why don't you put on any clothes?
What? I don't need clothes. Jesus Christ, that's huge! What, Broly?
Freezer.
Uh-oh.
Prepare to die!
But once you get video, lots of likes, or Bill will turn you into chocolate! Vados, get over here! Tell these mortals that I'm the biggest UnrealEntGaming fan. This is my moment. I'm a part of his notification squad. Universe 7 can have all the fun. I just want the food.
And don't forget to leave a comment on this video. Show some love for the best community on YouTube.
Kakarot!